Hi guys, welcome back to Get Rich Gossip, and my name is Nada, and welcome to today's episode. Today we are obviously gonna talk about Monza. We're gonna talk about Monza in F1, but also about Monza in F2 because that was something else. That was insane. But we'll get to that. Let's go. Let's start with today's episode. All right. Starting with F1, obviously, because that's the reason we're all here, honestly. Um, Free practice. I think I actually only watched FP1 because I was so excited for Paul Aaron. I really wanted to see him drive in FP1 because I haven't been able to see him drive in FP1, and so I was very excited to finally be able to watch him. Didn't really see much of him, but that's all right. The FP sessions, like all three free practice sessions, had me so excited for Ferrari and Williams. So excited because they were just doing great. And Ferrari, I mean, they could have had a better weekend at their home Grand Prix, but they still actually did really well. Williams, on the other hand, that qualifying session sucked. Like, let's be honest, we all expected more from Williams there. Um, and then Albon finished in the points and Sainz didn't. Which it wasn't a great weekend for them. Which, based on those free practice sessions, I expect them to have like an amazing weekend. So yeah, that's a bit sad, but yeah. That's actually literally everything I have on free practice. Like I said, I only watched the first free practice session. I didn't watch the second or the third, but I just remember looking at the results and I was just, for FP1 and FP2, I was like, definitely FP1 because McLarens were not in the top three, and I was like, and then Lando in FP2 was in the top three, and then Lando and Oscar both were in the top three in FP3. But I was just like, guys, what's happened to our car from last weekend? Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna come back to Lando and Oscar. Y'all know that I have to talk about that one specific thing. Like, I have to talk about it. But quali, like I said, I expected more from the Williams drivers, both out in Q2. Not what I expected. The Racing Bulls drivers, both out in Q1, also not at all what I expected. Definitely, like, Isaac Hadjar was on the podium last weekend, and I think he qualified 15th. Was it 15th or 16th? 15th? Yeah, it was just like, what? What? Yeah. But I mean, his race was pretty great. Like, his race was pretty great. He started in the pit lane, finished in the points. Like, well done, Isaac. That, like, that's pretty well done. But yeah, I did not expect that. And then Q2, well, obviously we had the Williams drivers both go out, but we had Lando, and my heart was going pitter patter. I was not prepared for. My dad warned me because I had to rewatch quali because I have a dance audition at the time of quali, so I didn't watch it live, so I had to rewatch it after my dance audition. And my dad warned me. He was like, Q2 is gonna be scary. It's gonna be, a lot, but it's all gonna work out. And I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, I did not know what to expect. The only thing that I knew going into quali was that Lando was in front of Oscar. That was the only thing that I knew because I'd seen it in the group chat of the Girls Across the Grid girls from Belgium. That was literally the only thing that I knew going into quali. Yeah. It was so scary. Like, it was genuinely so scary hearing on the we're hearing the commentators say that Lando aborted his first push lap because he messed up. I mean, like, not his first push lap, because he did a push, cool push. And so he did his first push lap, and then and then he did his cool lap, and then he did his second cool lap. But that lap, the commentators were like, Lando made a mistake, he's aborted his lap. And I was like, what do you mean? Please tell me he is going to get across that line in time to set another lap. Because at that point, I think he was in P11 because Ollie Behrman just jumped above him, and Ollie was in P10. And I was like, guys, you cannot do that to me, McLaren. What the hell? But in the end, like, it all worked out. Lando in P2 was great. Lando in front of Oscar, perfect. Like, that's exactly what I needed. And then obviously we had the Grand Prix. Then we had the Grand Prix. If I had to describe this Grand Prix in 2 words, the first would be boring, the second would be awkward. Yeah, my dad did not watch the Grand Prix. He came home late at night and he asked me, like, is it worth rewatching the Grand Prix? And I was immediately, before he even finished his sentence, I was like, no, it's not worth it. It was a boring ass Grand Prix. It was so boring. I mean, like, the first 5-ish laps were like fun, you know, Charles being in front of Oscar and then Lando being in front of Max and just all that shenanigans. But like, I knew that would happen the first few laps, and then, you know, Max took the lead again. He got in front of Lando and he just took off. Lando took off in front of Oscar. Oscar took off in front of Leclerc, and I was just like, great, nothing's gonna happen this Grand Prix. At, like, that was like, I think it lap like 6 or 7, and at that point my eyes were just like, I'm so tired, I'm gonna close. And I think from like lap 6 or 7 till lap 25, 26-ish, I just listened to the commentators and did not actually watch the Grand Prix because it was so boring and I could just only listen. Like, sometimes you have those Grand Prix where you need to be watching because otherwise you will have missed a lot of stuff. This was not one of those Grand Prix. This was absolutely not one of those Grand Prix. It was such a boring race. It was such a boring race. I mean, yeah, no, it was actually really boring. And I thought maybe with the strategy at play here, we are gonna spice it up a little bit because McLaren was really trying to spice it up there, with, you know, waiting to pit, and hoping for a safety car. And I thought, you know, the contact between Ollie and Carlos, I really thought we were gonna have a safety car. And I was like, yes, yes, no. Also, talking about Ollie and Carlos, Ollie got a 10-second time penalty there. Someone needs to explain to me how that contact was Ollie's fault. Because I watched it and I was like, isn't it Carlos's fault? But I mean, like, the stewards are probably right saying that it is Ollie's fault. But I just need someone to explain it to me because I don't really get how it's Ollie's fault, because Carlos basically turned in and did not, you know, leave space for Ollie to be there. So if anybody is watching this and is like, I can actually explain that very, very well and in a very easy way, because I need it explained easy. Yeah? If somebody knows, please let me know, because I don't get it. I fully expected Carlos to get the penalty there. Like, 5 seconds, that was the max that I was expecting. 5-second time penalty was actually the max that I was expecting. And then Ollie got a penalty, and that was a shock in itself. And then 10-second time penalty, I was like, whoa, they're not playing today, those stewards. They're not playing today. Yeah. But, you know, talking about McLaren, because we cannot not talk about it. And as much as I would just, like, not want to talk about this, like, I really have to, as a McLaren girly at least. So those McLaren pit stops, I'm just gonna say it like that, those were mad awkward. It really felt like the papaya rules, and I hate to say that, but it really felt like the papaya rules all over again. Like, I was getting deja vu. And this is, I think, a case of don't hate the driver but hate the team, because I've seen so many people online hating on Lando for getting that place back from Oscar, but I don't think it's Lando's fault. Honestly, I don't think it's Lando's fault. Yes, Lando suggested himself to let Oscar pit first, but that was purely to cover off Leclerc. That was purely to cover off Leclerc. Because, I mean, I honestly think that if Lando would have pitted first and then Oscar would have pitted, Leclerc would have gotten Oscar. And Oscar might have not been on the podium. So honestly, I get the decision for Lando to say, let's pit Oscar first and then pit me as long as I get the place back. I honestly fully can see why he did that. And then that was a shitty pit stop. Not Lando's fault, because it's not Lando's fault. He couldn't have done anything about it. It was the McLaren team's fault, and it's their own fault that they've worked themselves in such an awkward position, because they said to Oscar, you can keep the place if you're in front of Lando at the end of the pit straight, like at the end of the pit lane. And Oscar was in front, but they said to Lando, you're gonna get your place back. So that's just shitty communication from McLaren itself. And that's why, I mean, don't hate the driver, hate the team, because it's McLaren's fault. And it's not Lando's, it's not Oscar's. It was just so awkward for no reason. For no reason at all. And yes, I've seen a very good take on this as well from Matt and Tommy from the P1 podcast. They said, imagine Lando and Oscar being tied for points in Abu Dhabi. Lando is second, Oscar is first. Oscar says, let Lando pit first. Lando pits, Oscar pits after Lando, and Oscar has a shitty pit stop, causing Lando to be in front of Oscar, while Oscar has actually led the whole race. And they're gonna say to Lando, give that place back. Basically, fighting there for the whole world championship. Do you think Lando is gonna give back that place? I don't know. A part of me is like, no, but then again, a part of me is like, I do see Lando giving back that place. But, I mean, put Oscar in the same position, and I don't see Oscar giving back the place, but I do see him giving back the place. It's just like, it was such an awkward situation in Monza, and it didn't need to be that awkward. But again, hate the team, not the driver. Okay, so all the people online need to stop hating on Lando. The Tifosi being there at the podium booing Lando, I'm sorry, but that's just not okay. That's just not okay. I get that you're not a big fan of a certain driver. And I get that at that moment in time, while you are at the circuit and you see all that happen in real life, I get that you might be a little mad at a certain driver because he did what he did. But it's not his fault. I fully believe it's McLaren's fault. It's not Lando's fault. It's not Oscar's fault. It's fully McLaren's fault. So the fact that Lando got booed, yeah, no, I don't think that is okay at all. Yeah. That's actually everything I have on Formula One. Yeah, I just wanted to say the next race is not this week. Sad, we have a week off. And then we are going to Azerbaijan, which honestly is actually one of my favorite races. Like, that circuit, I love that circuit. Like, I'm not a crazy big fan of all street circuits, but that street circuit, Azerbaijan, really has my heart. Like, I love Azerbaijan. Yeah, okay. Let's move on then to the feeder series, aka Formula 2 this week. Alright, so Formula 2. It was such this weekend. Monza is always, if you ever are gonna watch a Formula 2 weekend, I highly, highly, highly recommend you to watch the Monza weekend, because it's so fun. Because honestly, I don't think the drivers care. Those first few laps of both races, they don't care at all, I think. I missed the majority of quali, but the ending was pretty intense. I started watching right at the point that Fornaroli's car gave up. That's when I started watching, and then, his car got taken back to the pit lane, and we got back up to, doing quali laps, and then Richard Verschoor went into the barriers, and I was like, okay, well that does mean Luke Browning is on pole, so happy me. But yeah, that's literally the only thing I've seen of quali. Like I no idea what else happened in that session. The sprint race though, that was chaotic. But I mean, it's always in Monza. Like I said, if there's ever an F2 weekend that you're gonna watch both races, it has to be Monza, because it's just that first chicane, literally like that starting lap, the first lap, that first chicane. I have a feeling that the drivers honestly do not care. They do not care. They will cut that corner, they will go straight on, they will go over the grass, they will go over the gravel, they just don't care at all. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, I feel in Monza, the F2 races are always, the drivers themselves, I feel like they push more than the F1 drivers in Monza. Yeah, I can't really explain it, but I think if you watch the F2 races of this weekend and then you watch the F1 race of this weekend, you can really like see that. Yeah, the F2 drivers do push more, and yeah, I can't explain it. It's just, yeah, it's so fun. The F2 races is so fun. The sprint race, what happened? First things first, I think Miney went into the gravel, so his car was stranded there. What happened after that? We had a restart, and then Dino's first place got taken by Fornaroli. I mean, major congratulations to Fornaroli. He deserved that win. He really deserved that win. Did Dino deserve that penalty for, what was it again? Safety car infringement? I don't think so. I don't think so. Dirksen also cut that corner. I think it was just a lockup for Dino, which made him to cut that corner. And I was like, is that the reason he's getting a 5-second penalty? Like, you just made him miss a podium because of that mistake. But yeah, no. That sprint race, it was, I don't remember how many, I'm gonna look it up right now, how many drivers did not even finish that race. It was quite a lot, actually. The feature race had more drivers not finishing, but let me check. So on the timing page, the official timing page, there's 19 drivers that finished the race. So we had Esterson, Megatuniv, and Miney DNF. Yeah. Miney did 1 lap. Yeah. Megatuniv did 9 laps. And then Esterson did 16 laps. What happened with Esterson's car, I don't know. But they showed shots of like literally just the trees, and then it's like a huge cloud of smoke. Is that car okay? Like, is that car okay? Yeah. And then we had the feature race. Listen, if there is one race that you have to rewatch of F2, I'm highly gonna recommend the Monza feature race. Because that race, I rewatched it because I forgot it was on in the morning, and I was like, shit, missed it. I was on Instagram and I came across the post of the like Luke Browning won the feature race post, and I was like, right, well, I do have to rewatch it because it's always such a fun like race. So that's exactly what I did. It was chaotic fun. Let me describe it like that. First things first, we are just going for that first chicane in lap 1. It's a little bit of contact here and there, but nothing major happening. Nothing major happening. Just some drivers that got away really well, others that didn't. Yeah, and this is so fun, they all started on the super softs. They had 2 tires available to them. That was the super softs and the softs. They all collectively started on the super softs. That hasn't happened in a long time, that all the 22 drivers started on the same time. So, like, we knew they all needed to pit around the same time. There were a few drivers. Last season in Monza, the pit window for the super soft was between lap 8 and lap 10. So, lap 8 is there, a few drivers pit. Lap 9, a few drivers pit. Lap 10, I think it was Ollie Goethe that pitted. And, and Ollie Goethe, he made a few phenomenal moves. He got, I don't know exactly where he started, but he started towards the lower end, I think, of the top 10. And he made a few amazing places, to the point that I think he was like P3 or P2 in the race, like insane. And he pitted and he fell all the way back because the drivers were just like, the field was just so bunched up. It was literally like a whole DRS train. And then Arvid Lindblad went into the back of Alexander Dunn, and Dunn just went straight in the gravel against the wall. Obviously, that car was broken, as well as Arvid Lindblad's nose, but they didn't care at Campos, they didn't care. Which meant safety car. A full safety car, not a VRC, a full safety car. So everybody else hadn't pitted in the pits, which was not ideal for Goethe. He, I think, stayed in like P19, something like that, P18, something like that. Not a great place for him to be. I actually feel for that man, because he had some amazing overtakes the whole race through, and the fact that he wasn't on the podium was actually insane, because he really deserved to be there. And so, we had a safety car. Luke Browning came back out, pit lane in the lead, just perfect for him. And the safety car comes in, Luke Browning is holding up the field, deciding when to go. King Shields expected Luke Browning to go way earlier, because that man was ready to go and then saw, oh, we're not actually going, but there's a car in front of me, so actually I need to go to the side, but I can't go to my right side, so I'm going to my left. Onto the grass, through the styrofoam molds. Restart hadn't even happened yet. And then, nothing really happened with that moment. Like, there wasn't even a yellow flag, which, that was weird. And then, so Luke Browning did his restart, while everybody at home was like, hello? What about Kiam? What about Shields? That man's stranded over there. And then, we did the restart. First chicane, Arvid Lindblad just goes straight on, and it was so close. He could have easily hit Luke Browning. Like, I saw my life flash before my eyes, because he went straight on. So you have the first chicane with the third to the right, and Luke Browning was steering to the right, and literally he just went and then came Arvid Lindblad straight on, straight into Roman Stanek. So yeah, that wasn't ideal. And then Mini crashed into Martins, who also spun around. So 3 cars actually went off the road there. So yeah, obviously Stanek's car had to be recovered. Shields' car, I don't know how that went, because we didn't really go back to that moment. Martins' car, I think he kept it running, but obviously done, I think. Yeah, he did not continue racing. So yeah, another safety car. Everything's cleaned up. Safety car comes back in. Oh, this is so funny. We're doing the restart again. In the meantime, Dirksen had taken Luke Browning's lead, so Dirksen was leading at that point from Luke Browning. We're doing the restart again. This time it's Dirksen doing the restart. We're going. First chicane. Semi Megatunif, straight on, through the styrofoam boards, done. 3 safety cars in a row. Yeah, it was so funny. It was so funny. Because I didn't expect anything less from F2. Like, they literally, I think they like feel like they're like in like bumper cars or something like that, because they just, at Monza I always feel like they don't care, and I know that they probably do because they need. I From what I've heard from Richard Verschoren on his TikTok page, they need to pay all the damage to their car themselves. It's not the team that's paying for their cars; it's themselves that's paying for their cars. So obviously, whenever there's like ginormous big damage, they're not going to be a fan of that. But and they're gonna, obviously they will care, but it's just, it feels like they don't care. I'm gonna see how many people DNF'd. The last person, Ollie Goethe, in P16. So who DNF'd? Dunn DNF'd. Shields also DNF'd, like I said. Static DNF'd. Lindblad DNF'd. Martins DNF'd. And Megatunif DNF'd. But honestly, how Campos? Because obviously, Lindblad came in to change his tires from his super softs to his softs. His front wing was so damaged from going into the back of Dunn that I don't get that Campos made him continue. And then he went straight into Stenek, right, on the second, on the restart. And he came back to the pits. They put a new nose onto his car, and they tried to, because his sidepod was also broken, like the flap was literally up. It was not okay. The Campos people, I can't believe I'm saying this, but they tried to duct tape it. They got the duct tape out. They put one piece of duct tape on there, and then it clicked. You know what? Maybe it's not that safe to go racing anymore. Maybe it's not a great idea to continue. Like, I can't believe that you're an F2 team and you think, oh, you know what? Let's duct tape our side pod to continue racing. That is actually, like, I could not believe that. When I saw that they put on a new nose, I was like, they're not gonna let him continue, right? Like, his race is done. Like, his side pod is literally open. Like, I can look into the side pod. How do you, in your right mind, think, you know what, let's duct tape it and let him continue? While he already crashed into Stenek, well, first Dunn, which broke his nose, then into Stenek, partially due to that nose. Then you put on a new nose while his side pod is broken, and you want to let him continue? I'm sorry, but like, what in the world are we dealing with, right? What in the world? Yeah, that moment. I'm just like, what the hell? Literally, what the hell? I'm looking at the podium. I know actually the podium. Luke Browning finished in P1. First win for Luke. Also, very, very, very good points in the championship. Because I think at the start of the race he was in P4 in the championship, and he is now in P2. So he jumped 2 places, which I'm very happy about that. Leo Fodoroli is still in P1 with a good amount of points on Luke Browning. But the fight is not over yet. There's, I think, still 5 drivers actively fighting for that championship, and that's so fun. Like, I know in F2 there's 2 drivers that's still fighting, and that's also fun. But 5 drivers for a championship is way more fun than 2 of the same team. Yeah. Dirksen finished in P2 and Marty in P3. That's the podium. Yeah. There's 3 races left in F2, and there's a high chance that it's all gonna be decided in Abu Dhabi on the last race. Like, during the last race. It's so fun. I love that the F2 championship, because last year also with Bortolato and Hadjad, it went to the last race in Abu Dhabi to decide who would be champion. That's so much fun. I love that. Like, I genuinely love that. I'm looking at my list. Is there anything else? No. So the next race for both F1 and F2 is Azerbaijan. Not this week, but next week, the 19th of September till the 21st of September. So yeah, you will obviously hear or see me next week. I will find something to talk about. I promise y'all that. But yeah, that's it for today. You on YouTube, you will see me again next week, and you on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere else, you will hear me again next week. Bye!